One of the hardest relationships I've ever had was with money, and I'm still struggling today. In today's episode for Side Hustle Saturday, we're going to take a little different venture. I'm talking to my girl, Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell Consulting, and we're going to talk about your money story and the relationship you have with money. That relationship that you have with money resonates, whether you believe it or not, across everything that you do, not only in business, but your personal finance and your relationships that you have with others. So before we get into this podcast, the first thing that you can do is hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned to Side Hustle Saturday Hustle Talks and get more of this amazing content. But enough of me. Let's talk about your relationship and money. Welcome, Michelle, to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm good, Lisa. How you doing?
Girl, I'm doing. We're here, twins.
I know, right?
That in the comments. Y'all supposed to say this was not planned,
It was
okay?
not playing. Playing.
I've interviewed you before several times, and we've done Monday Money Motivation. We did a couple things together.
Yeah.
And, we got to talking about, we were just talking off camera about relationships and money and the relationships that you have with your money. And I don't think people think about that.
No,
I
you're
don't
correct.
think people think about the relationship that you have with your money and how it really affects you as a person and everything that you do. And I
Absolutely.
mean everything, because we just don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about it all.
We don't.
Before we get started though, I want people to know your background so they know, like, well, who was she talking about relationship and money? Does she know what she's doing? Yes, she does. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. I am Michelle Mitchell. I am the CEO and founder of Mitchell Consulting. We help small business owners bridge the gap between their passion and their profit. And we do this with your finances. So I have a firm that we primarily do bookkeeping, but is more than that, as Lisa just stated. And I have been building this business for 15 years, and I have a team of 5. And we do amazing things for our small business clients. And guess what? I am no longer the bottleneck in the business. Everything is not in my head. It is actually documented so that my team can deliver services the way I would deliver services.
Say that. Okay. Right. And
Yes.
we're gonna get all of y'all there. I'm
Right.
not there, but we're gonna all work towards that, what she's doing over here.
Yeah. And I would say I'm still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress. So it's not perfect, but we are on that road where I am not the bottleneck in the business anymore.
Yeah. Today it's more than about talking about your money and relationship. The topic really today, we're going to talk about understanding your personal money story and
Mhm.
how it shapes your financial decisions in a
Yeah.
nutshell. So I'm going to use myself as an example. Um, my money story goes all the way back to me being raised by my father. Now, the way he raised us was amazing, but it shaped how I view money. And I think it kind of hindered me a little bit. He was the man of the house. He took care of my mother, he took care of my sisters. And his thought was the man is to take care of everything. He got you.
Hmm.
It's cool. I don't, that's great. But me being a single woman raising a child did not help me. And so my relationship with money was very murky because I didn't know how to manage it.
Right.
I always relied on my father.
Hmm.
And it never made me savvy enough to like really understand how I manage money. And that went over to my relationships because I was looking for somebody to take care of me.
Mhm.
So it was a domino effect. So I had to kind of, when I started my business, that really opened my eyes about how I manage money. Because if you can't manage your money in your personal finances, you sure enough don't know how to manage money when
Your business for sure. And we see it all the time that, the owner's money story gets in the way of them being a savvy business owner.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
really does. Yeah. So everyone has a money story. I have a money story. My
Mhm.
money story is a little bit different. My money story is I grew up in a household where my mother took care of the finances. My
Mm.
daddy made the money and
Mhm.
he would bring his check home every week
Mhm.
and she would sign his check. She would take it to the bank. She
Mhm.
would sit at the dining room table and tell her money what to do for her that week. And I saw that on a weekly basis as a child. So it showed me discipline with
Mhm.
money,
Mhm.
and that's probably why I am the way I am today and why I
Right.
chose the accounting profession to go into because I saw that modeled in my
Mhm.
household. And guess what? All of us start our money story as a child.
That is so true.
Yes.
That is so true. It transcends, and you
And
don't
it's
think about
transcendent.
it. You really
Absolutely.
don't think about, because that's how you were raised. It's like
Yes.
subconsciously, that's how you
Mhm.
do it.
Yep.
That's how you do it. You know, and that's what a money story is.
It is.
Your money story is how you were raised, how you experienced, how you took care of money when you were younger,
Mhm.
all the way up into where you are now. That's your
Correct.
money story.
Yes.
And if you look back on it, it shapes, and when you have those aha moments, you're like, that's
Mhm.
why I say, I don't care. It's just money. Or,
Right.
no, I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that. I'm going to hold on to my money because, and then, everything's breaking down around you because you're holding on to the money because
Right.
you're afraid you never had it before.
Right.
That's why people do the things they do
That
with
is true.
money.
And as a child, like growing up as a child and whatever your experience was with
Mhm.
money as a child, it established your belief system
Yeah.
about money and what
Mhm.
money could do for you.
Mhm.
And that, trust me, it is playing a part in your life today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the money myths that um people have?
I always go back to this myth, where I heard it many times as a child. Money don't grow on trees.
Oh my God, yes, I heard.
Money don't grow on trees. How many of us heard that as a child?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Money don't grow on trees. No, money comes from actual like work or
Mhm,
investments. That's where money comes from. Like
mhm,
money is a currency. It flows. It flows like a river.
mhm. So, how can I? Because I know a lot of people that are listeners can relate and
Mhm.
have heard either money don't grow on trees, or they were poor and they
Mhm.
always had to scrape and
Mhm.
save, and no, we can't buy that. How do
Or
we
I'm
get
bad with
over
money. Mhm.
how do
Mhm.
we get over the scarcity versus abundance mindset
Yeah.
when it comes to money, and start, I mean, it's never too late, but how can
No.
we get over that and start initiating some of the better habits
Mhm.
and getting a better relationship with money?
Yeah. First, I believe you have to assess where you are first. You need to
Mhm.
assess. And when you assess, I want you to think about, you know, where the root of your money belief started. And it it primarily starts in childhood and your experience as a child. But how did that translate into your adolescence, your young adult life, and now in your adult life, right? So where did those thoughts about money come from? And whether they were positive or negative, Just assess where they are. Are my thoughts about money positive or negative?
This segment of Hustle Talks is brought to you by Studio 951. Need a game changing marketing strategy? At Studio 951, we help businesses stand out with expert branding, social media management, content creation, web design, and video editing. From crafting eye catching visuals to driving engagement, we bring your brand to life online and beyond. Ready to grow? Let's build something amazing together. Visit studio-951.com today.
Two, I want you to think about, like, how are you dealing with your money today? Are you avoiding it? I ain't looking at the bank account because I'm scared to see what's in there. Or I got so much money in my bank account, I'm afraid to spend it. Two, like, it's a spectrum. So assess where you are on that spectrum, and then start figuring out how you want your relationship with money to be. Like, how would you like to live your future life and your relationship with money? What does that look like for you? You actually get to decide. And then once you decide on that, like, what are the things you need to do to put in place so that you are meeting that future self every day? So whether it's I'm going to figure out where all my money is going. I'm going to keep an eye on it because it's data. It is, if you take the emotion out of money and just think about it as it's data. My past is giving me data so that I can plan for the future that I want. So, what does the data show me, and how can you move the needle towards your future self? And it might just be educating yourself about money, like educating yourself about, what are the different bank accounts I can have? What's the difference between a regular savings account and a savings account that is high yield, a savings account, like educating yourself on the things of money, and then your thoughts and your mindset will begin to change about money, and then your daily actions that you do will begin to change your habits about money.
And I'll just add to that, you're going to make some mistakes.
You will.
You're going to make some mistakes with
Mhm.
money, and don't let that hinder your relationship.
Right.
Because I've made plenty of them. And
Right.
sometimes it's hard to recoup,
It is.
some people, but I look at like people that are rich or that have money and
Hmm.
they've made mistakes. Some of them file for bankruptcy and they right back on top again.
Right.
I'm saying that to say is that that's the mindset that you
That
need
you
to
have.
have,
Yeah.
that you're gonna make some mistakes, you might lose some money,
Hmm.
you might make a lot of money, you might make bad decisions, but if you can bounce back, you're golden.
Yeah. That's
That's when
true.
you have that good relationship that
That
it
is
did
true.
happen,
Yeah.
and now I gotta pick myself back up and
Yeah.
recover and recoup.
That's true. And, I love that, we're on the Side Hustle Saturday podcast, because if you have a side hustle and you learn how to make money, if you make a decision and you lose money, you know how to make money. You know
Oh,
what I'm
I didn't think
saying?
about that.
You know how to make money. So you just go do it again, because you already know how to make, if you got a side hustle, you know how to make money. That's not your job, right? You already know how to make money. So if you make a mistake in your finances and let's just say you lose everything you got, or you get way into debt, guess what you know how to do? Come on, side hustle. Let's go. Let's go, side hustle. Because I know how to make money on that side hustle.
Mm.
And you can help yourself. But people who just stay in a job and you don't have anything going on extra, how you gonna make the extra money? How you gonna do it? But the people that's watching this podcast, they understand what a side hustle is.
Right.
And
Right.
you just turn up the fire on the side hustle, and then your side hustle may become your main thing.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I think, and you're right. People look at, hustlers and side hustlers. I think they look at it as a derogatory thing,
Mhm.
back in the day. But now it's kind of like, or, that second job, it's
Mhm.
a bad thing. But at today's age and what the state of the economic climate is,
Yes.
a side hustle is one of the best things you can have right about now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is one of the best things, and I'm not saying, I know there are people that are hustling, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. You
Mhm.
might wanna take a look at that and
Mhm.
make sure you're doing something that you're really interested in,
Yeah, absolutely.
that is going to help you come up out of that rut that you're doing, and then you can, like you said, take that side hustle and turn it into your main hustle.
Right.
But what about the people that are in a business and are having a hard time? They're still struggling with that
Mm.
money relationship on how to make the side hustle money.
Right.
What kind of tips can you give them?
Yeah, so the people who are struggling with the side hustle and either earning money or keeping money, you need to know some principles about business, like about earning money. Because if you've only known what your job pays you, like you need to change your mindset about when you're the owner of something and what things cost and how much you can then charge for it. So we get into pricing, right? What I find is a lot of side hustlers are afraid to charge more for the things that they offer.
Let's talk about that because
Yeah.
I struggle with pricing
Yes.
because I felt like, oh, if I'm priced too high, I'm gonna lose the client.
Mhm.
Or I felt sorry for the client, so I undercut so I could keep the
Yes.
business. And that
Yes.
was one of the worst clients I had.
Yes.
So talk about the importance of pricing your services correctly.
Yes. So as you guys know, I am an accountant. I was educated as an accountant. I have a degree in accounting. I work for Fortune 500 companies. Like I know accounting. But when I started my business, guess what I started at? $30 an hour. What? Because in my mind, that's what my employer was paying me. So I'm like, I can just charge what my employer. No, let me tell you something. Your employer is looking at you as an input for them to make more money. And guess what? You only a third, 25% to a third of the cost of what they get from their clients. So, as a side hustler, and you want to charge what you earned from your income from your work, times it by 3.
Why
That's what
is
you
that?
should charge
Why?
because you have, okay, you got to pay yourself, right? You have operational costs and you want to make profit and you need to pay the IRS and the state. So if you trying to take all of that out of that wage that you got as an employee, you will never make money. You will never make money. I
That's
promise
good. I
you. Yeah.
never thought about that.
Hmm.
I never thought about that. Well, what about the people that say, well, you too expensive? I mean,
You're not the right client. Okay. And so that's the other thing. When people are starting out as a side hustle, and they have a service business,
Mm,
like you just want the mindset is you want to help everyone. But when you really start to dig down into the strategy of business, you can't help everyone.
mm.
But the person you can help and the person who needs your service most, who is ideal for what you can provide, is a different type of person than the person that's walking around that you see every day. It's called your ideal client. Your ideal client will pay your ideal price. So it's your job to identify who that is so that you can serve them up the things that they need to solve their problem because they will pay for their problem to be solved.
Mhm. That's good.
Different mindset.
Yeah, because I
And it's your
always
relationship with money. I can't ask for that because you
yeah,
don't know business strategy. And also, your money mindset is holding you back from charging $250 an hour. Because you're like, oh, that's scarcity. Like, who gonna pay that? Because you wouldn't pay that. And when you start paying that, you will start to attract clients that pay that.
that's see, I never thought about that. I was always scared. Like, they
Yeah,
not the only client walking around
exactly.
on this earth.
Mhm,
And then, well, I was listening to a podcast, The Future, and he
mhm.
was saying, when you talk about pricing and people say, "Oh, that's too expensive," then, you just say, "Well, okay, well,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome to go somewhere
Yeah,
else, and maybe I can find someone in my network that will
yeah,
do the business that you can afford, but that's my price is my price," and stand
yeah.
firm on it.
And stand firm. Yeah. And that's one of the things with money mindset. Like you don't have those boundaries yet. I say yet,
Mm,
because as you grow, your boundaries will begin to change. And it's because you have more data to make sound decisions.
mm,
So in the beginning, yes, if you're just getting your feet wet and really trying to connect with potential clients and convey to them what you what your value is and how you solve the problem that you have, you begin to learn, they think more highly of this part of what I said and not that part.
mhm.
And you, as the side hustler, begin to hone in on the actual things that are going to move the needle in your business because your potential client is telling you what they value. And then you price it accordingly.
That's good. What about, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't treat myself.
Mm,
Sometimes I feel like, I shouldn't buy that because I ain't got no money, or
mhm,
I need to hold on. I'm an entrepreneur, so I've got to save every dime that I have. Therefore, I shouldn't be going out to eat, or I shouldn't buy those new pair of Nikes I want. Or
mhm.
how do we break that barrier that is okay every once in a while, as long as you got your money right, you
Right.
can treat yourself.
You can. Absolutely. I do believe in treating myself. I do believe in teaching others to treat themselves, but I also believe in having discipline on a daily basis. So, in your personal life or in your side hustle business, what percentage of money are you going to set aside for your happy fund?
Oh, a happy fund. I like
Yeah.
that.
How much are you going to set aside? What is it worth to you to have a happy fund? So of each sale that I make, I'm going to take 3% and put into my happy fund. And when my happy fund gets to X dollar amount, I can spend it on whatever I want to spend it on.
I
And,
like
and
that.
you get to decide what that percentage is. You, the business owner, get to decide what that percentage is.
Mhm. I like that. That's
Yeah,
just like that's just like people, setting aside money for saving up for a car or
absolutely.
saving up for a house. You
Yeah,
also need to put in a bucket for whatever, a happy fund,
yeah,
or my fund to do whatever with fun.
yeah,
That's a good idea. I never thought about that.
yeah. So when you think, a lot of people don't like to hear the word budget, but budget is just a spending plan.
Mhm.
It's a spending plan. And this is what you plan to do with your money. And then when you look back on it over time, What did you do with the money? Did you stick to the plan? And if you didn't stick to the plan, why? So if you planned to put 3% away for your happy fund and you didn't, what happened? Because you the one decided not to put it in there. What? Like, if you had a plan and you didn't follow the plan, who's running the plan?
Right. You?
Exactly. So when things don't happen, uh, who did it?
So, what are some actionable items that people can do to start a good relationship with money, like today?
Like today, I would, like I said before, assess where you are. Look at your bank account. Look on the calendar. Okay, when am I getting paid next? Right? Or if you have a side hustle, okay, I'm expecting X number of dollars in sales. Tell your money what to do for you even before you receive it.
Mhm.
That's the start. Telling your money what to do even before you receive it. So, I know some people live off of overdraft and, you know, what did my mama used to say? Robbing Peter to pay Paul, right?
Right,
Robbing
right.
Peter to pay Paul. Okay, you got that situation over there. Be real with yourself what that situation is. And then little by little, as you begin to make your plan, each time you get paid or each time you get earnings from your side hustle, you tell it what to do for you.
Mhm,
Even if you got to dig out of that hole that you have built. You
mhm,
built the hole, but you can fill the hole, especially if you have a side hustle.
mhm. I would say also to add to that is have money buckets.
Yes, and that's what a spending plan is. It
Mhm,
is putting money in different buckets for different things. So, if it's, on the personal side, like you have your personal household expenses, the first thing you need to always make sure of, you have a roof over your head. You have what lights and water and gas on, right? That's the second thing you need to make sure you have. Then you need groceries. And I know I done seen the price of eggs. You need to feed yourself because if you can't sustain yourself, then how are you going to go out and make this other money, right? And so those are the basic needs. You need to make sure your basic needs are covered. If you're in debt, make a list of them all. Make a list of everybody that you owe. And I would start in my spending plan, pay the minimum on everything you got. And on the very smallest debt, each time you get paid or each time you earn money, pay off one of those debts. And if it's taking you a little time, you just keep paying as much as you can on that debt. It's called debt snowball. And over time, you will snowball to the largest debt. And then all of the extra money that you have can go towards that debt. If you're trying to save money from your side hustle so that you can really be a business owner, you want to reinvest in your business, like, I'm all for business owners paying themselves because why are we working for free? Because we could have a nonprofit and people could just be giving us money, right?
Right.
I'm just I'm just saying. But if we're not there yet, right? What can you do in your business to generate more income so that you can do the things that you desire?
Mhm,
So that you can build a business the way you want to, so that you can invest in the things that you want in your business. But you also need to have that happy fun over there so you can feel some relief, right? I'm
right.
doing all this work. What is it for? What is it for? So I would really like tell people to start there. And as you build your discipline, and you may need an accountability partner to help you stay on track.
Mhm,
And it could be your spouse or your partner or a girlfriend or a guy friend that you have, that will help keep you on track. Because what I find a lot of times, it's just like AA, you need that support
Mhm.
person, right,
Yeah,
to help you along your path. And if you don't have that person, you need to be seeking out a person like that will help you along your path. And I know from my own experience, when I actually hired a coach, I grew more than any other time in my business
mm,
because they were looking at the thing, they were holding me accountable to what I said I would do because, if you doing your own thing, right? You don't have to do anything. But your desire is that you want more, and if you want more, maybe just that accountability will help you along your path.
that's some good advice. That's really good advice, and I would say also to forget about the past because people beat themselves up, right?
They do, you gotta let it go.
You gotta
It
let
ain't
it
gonna
go.
happen. It's
Yeah.
water under the dam,
Right,
honey.
forget about the past. Once you come to that, "Aha,
Yeah,
okay, let's get it popping now.
yeah.
Let's move forward. You've discovered
Mhm,
where the money issues
mhm.
from. Now let's start anew. Let's start fresh."
Right. And I would like to also say, when you're assessing where you are, like, get the lump sum amount. Like, what is the total for me to get out of this? Because if you're a side hustler, you can put some stuff together and you can get rid of that probably within a year if you tried. Cause I've seen it happen. It's happened for me. Like, once you get your stuff together and you really understand and know the value of what you do and who your ideal client is, then you begin to seek out that person and you begin to charge what you need to charge so that you can get yourself out of the situation that you have. I am 100% a believer in a side hustle because I know it can become your main thing.
Absolutely. And I will piggyback on this. Once you get into that spot and your relationship with money changes,
Yes.
you just watch and see how your relationships with others change
Yeah.
because it affects you just that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does.
It really
And
does.
I always say side hustling is a lot of self discovery.
Mhm.
It's a
It
lot.
is. It
It's a lot
is.
of self discovery. You're going to find out more stuff about yourself than you ever wanted to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ever wanted to know.
Yeah.
Michelle, I love having you on the podcast because you bring so much insight and I think if we can help one person get their
Mhm.
money story right, I think we've done our job.
Yeah.
But please tell everybody how can they reach out to you? How can they, where are you located on social media? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's mitchellconsultingservice.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Mitchell Consulting, and on LinkedIn, it's Michelle Mitchell.
Y'all need to follow her.
Yes.
Hit her up because she be dropping them gems. I'm just telling you. I mean, she's had me on some conversations we've had off camera. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's
Yeah.
helped me. So please, please, hopefully this podcast has helped you out. And another thing, subscribe. Hit the red button right now because this is not the last time you probably see me and Michelle together. I'll also be having some great interviews with some entrepreneurs that are out here hustling just like you. So you want to make sure you don't skip a beat, you don't miss an episode. So hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on my Instagram at side hustle underscore Saturday and on TikTok at side hustle underscore Saturday. So please, 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 let's go on the side hustle journey together and make this money and get our money story right, right?
Right. Right.
And we will talk to you soon. Thank you.